the boy who started out at a small ice rink in Havířov, a few years later breaks records in the NHL and is compared to the greatest hockey legends. A player who led the Czech national team back to the top and showed the world that in the biggest battles, he is the one who decides the games. But this is not just a story about goals, trophies, and awards. Behind his smile and incredible talent lies a dark chapter. But let's go all the way back to the beginning. David was born on May 25, 1996, in Havířov. His dad Milan was a hockey player, and it was he who introduced him to hockey. Little David was on the ice for several hours every day, and from early on he was clear he wanted to play in the NHL. But fate had different plans. When he was 14, his dad succumbed to a serious illness. David was devastated, but instead of breaking him, he vowed to make it all the way to the NHL. For his dad, David Pastrnak started in Havířov, but it was immediately clear to everyone that he had something special inside. His talent needed more space and a bigger challenge, so he moved to the youth team in Trinec. The real turning point came at age 16. He left everything behind and went to Sweden, to the club Södertälje SK. It was a step into the unknown, a new language, a new lifestyle, a different kind of hockey. In Sweden, it wasn't about looking good but about toughness, speed, and smarts. David had to adapt. And he adapted quickly. At Södertälje, he learned to play adult hockey. He understood how to use speed, how to read the game, how to be effective every shift. And perhaps even more importantly, he learned to live without his family. He had to rely only on himself. As David later recalled, "I was 16. I came to Sweden alone without knowing the language. In 15 below zero cold, I rode my bike to training. It was tough, but I knew why I was doing it. It was a turning point for me." And that's exactly how it was. Right there, in the cold north, the player who would soon amaze the entire hockey world began to take shape. In his first season 2012-13, he showed his huge talent in the under-20 junior league, where in 36 games he collected 29 points. Goals, assists, creativity. And it wasn't just about juniors. He also got a chance to play among adults in Sweden's second highest league, where he scored 3 points in 11 games. For a 16-year-old boy? Unbelievable. But that was just the beginning. In the 2013-14 season, he became a key player for the senior team. In 36 regular season games, he scored 24 points and was one of the team's most productive players. The team itself finished only 12th and missed the playoffs, but David? He shined. His performance did not go unnoticed by NHL scouts. In 2014, the moment came that changed his life: the NHL draft. He was selected by the Boston Bruins in the first round, 25th overall. The dream he had since the small rink in Havířov began to come true. Sweden toughened him up, taught him toughness, speed, and prepared him for what was next, the journey that would lead him to become one of the world's best hockey players. Boston was once home to Czech legend Jaromír Jágr. In 2013, Jágr helped the Bruins reach the Stanley Cup final. Back then, he led the team with experience, calm, and a huge will to win. But times change. And now the moment had come for a new Czech hero to step onto the stage. David Pastrnak, a young talent ready to rewrite the Bruins' history and take the Czech name in the NHL even further. In his first NHL season, he played 46 games for the Boston Bruins and scored 10 goals. He was the youngest player on the team, but on the ice, he looked like he belonged there forever. Confident, fast, fearless. Boston knew they had something special in their hands. And even though he didn't win any major individual awards, he did something no one so young had done before in Boston. He became the youngest Bruins player in history to score 2 goals in one game. Fans started talking about him as a future star. But the path to the top is never easy. The following seasons brought complications. David began to be slowed down by injuries, problems with his leg, back, and hard hits from opponents. He had to work hard, get stronger, and adapt to the brutal pace of the NHL. Boston believed in him, and David began to repay their trust. In his second season 2015-16, he was much more confident. He played 51 games, scored 15 goals, and totaled 26 points. It was clear he was growing. that he was slowly turning from a hopeful prospect into a player the team could rely on. And even though Boston didn't make the playoffs that season, David showed that his time was coming, that this was just the beginning of something big. Then came the 2016-17 season. In 81 games, he scored an incredible 36 goals and 38 assists. For the first time in his career, he passed the 30-goal mark and became one of Boston's biggest leaders. His speed, creativity, and unbelievable finishing made every game a hockey show. Thanks to him and other stars, the Bruins finally returned to the playoffs after 2 years. But they didn't stay long. They were knocked out in the first round by the Ottawa Senators. For David, however, it was another big lesson. His first taste of NHL playoffs, his first goal, first assist in battles where everything is on the line. And it wasn't just the fans who started noticing his talent. Boston's general manager Don Sweeney publicly declared, "David is the future of our club, a player around whom we will build the team." David also began to gradually show his huge potential in the national team. At the 2016 World Championship in Russia, he was among the best players on the Czech team, scoring 7 points in 8 games. Czechia was close to a medal but ultimately finished 4th. A year later, he played in the championship in Germany and France, where the Czech team was eliminated in the quarterfinals. Pastrnak did not disappoint on the international stage, but he still had to wait for a true triumph. After 2 strong NHL seasons, where David established himself as one of the league's best young players, the 2017-18 season was crucial for him. What happened was absolutely amazing. David finally joined the true elite. Not only did he score 41 goals and collect 102 points in 94 games, but in the playoffs he delivered a performance every Bruins fan will remember. In the first round of the playoffs, they faced Toronto. In 7 games, David scored 5 goals and added 8 assists, helping the Bruins advance to the next round. The series was tense right to the last game, which Boston won 4-3 in the series to advance. Pastrnak showed he could be a leader in the most important moments. After the series against Toronto, where David became a clear leader, his teammates also responded. Patrice Bergeron, one of the team's most respected players, said about him, "David is everywhere on the ice. He's a player we can rely on in any situation. His talent and hunger to win are unbelievable." In the second round, they faced Tampa Bay. This team was a huge threat at the time, and although David and his team fought hard, Boston was eliminated after losing 1-4 in the series. Pastrnak scored 2 goals and 4 assists in this series, but the team struggled to deal with the very strong Tampa Bay squad that eventually made it to the Stanley Cup final. Even though Boston was eliminated, Pasternak's name was still spoken of positively by his teammates. Brad Marchand, who was a great partner for David on the ice, said, "His ability to decide games is unbelievable and his growth is obvious. He already belongs among the best players in the league." The 2017-18 season was a milestone for Pastrnak because for the first time he proved he could be a key player even in the toughest playoff moments. Although Boston ultimately did not win the Stanley Cup, Pasternak's performance was crucial to the team's overall success. In the 2018-19 season, David collected 100 points in 90 games. These stats not only placed him among the best forwards in the league but also showed his ability to be highly productive. His partnership with Patrice Bergeron and Brad Marchand created one of the most dangerous lines in the entire NHL. Thanks to this strong combination, the Bruins achieved excellent results in the regular season and maintained a stable position among the league's top teams throughout the season. But it was his playoff performance that highlighted his value. David demonstrated incredible endurance, scoring 19 points in 24 playoff games. Pasternak's strength was not just scoring. He was a player who knew how to solve decisive moments and stay calm even in the toughest situations. Although Boston ultimately fell to the St. Louis Blues in the finals, David's playoff performance was a huge step forward for his career. After the struggles of the previous seasons, the 2022-23 season turned out to be absolutely exceptional for David Pastrnak. David reached the form of his life. He proved to be one of the best goal scorers in the entire NHL and became a key figure for the Boston Bruins. Not only did he achieve record-breaking numbers, but his performances were stunning, both for experts and fans. Even Connor McDavid, one of the best players in the world, noticed Pasternak's form and said about him, "It's crazy. Wrist shot? Probably the best in the league." Pastrnak scored an impressive 61 goals during the regular season, the best individual tally of his career. He also added 52 assists, finishing the season with a total of 113 points. This performance placed him among the top players in the entire league and sparked widespread discussion about his MVP candidacy. Thanks to these outstanding performances, the Boston Bruins reached the top of the NHL standings, finishing the regular season with a record-breaking 135 points, the best team in the league. This dominance gave them a strong position heading into the playoffs. However, in the playoffs, the Bruins ran into an unexpected obstacle. Despite a strong season and Pasternak's star-level play, Boston was eliminated in the second round, ending their Stanley Cup quest earlier than fans had hoped. The positive side of the situation was that Pastrnak could fully focus on the upcoming 2024 World Championship, which was held right in the Czech Republic. The tournament didn't start ideally for Team Czechia, but with each game, they improved. They eventually finished third in Group A, which secured them a spot in the knockout stage. After a tough start, the quarterfinal match against the USA came, and Czechia narrowly won 1-0. This victory sent them to the semifinals, where they faced Sweden. That's when the Czech team showed its full strength. They crushed Sweden 7-3 and advanced to the dream final. In the final, they went up against Switzerland, a team in incredible form throughout the tournament. But despite the Swiss pressure, the Czechs stayed composed and relentlessly chased victory. The final ended 2-0 for Czechia, thanks to great teamwork, solid defense, and most importantly, a crucial goal from David Pastrnak. Pastrnak joined the team only after the NHL season ended, but his presence was absolutely key, especially in the final. After the match, he said, "I honestly haven't felt this good on skates in a long time." After the triumphant 2024 World Championship, where David Pastrnak showed incredible form, expectations were high for him and the Boston Bruins going into the 2024-25 season. Unfortunately, that season told a very different story. The team entered a tough phase and, for the first time since 2016, failed to make the playoffs. Even though Pastrnak still ranked among the NHL's top players with his brilliant individual performances, the Bruins struggled with many issues that held them back from success. The season started very poorly, and the team couldn't get going. In November, head coach Jim Montgomery was fired, signaling that changes were inevitable. His replacement, Joe Sacco, tried to breathe new life into the team, but the problems remained. The Bruins averaged only 2.40 goals per game, which was a significant drop. Their defense also underperformed, allowing 3.45 goals per game on average. On top of that, key players suffered injuries. Defenseman Charlie McAvoy injured his shoulder in February, and forward Mark Kostelic dealt with upper body issues. These losses significantly weakened both their defensive game and team depth. After such a painful and unsuccessful NHL season, David hoped he could succeed at least at the 2025 World Championship. The tournament was held in Sweden and Denmark, and Pastrnak believed it was a chance to write another great chapter. Team Czechia started the tournament strong, even without key stars from the previous gold-winning run, like the goalie wall Lukas Dostal, the relentless Radko Gudas, or the creative Pavel Zacha. Still, the Czechs dominated the group stage and fans began to believe in the Golden Dream once again. But then came a brutal wake-up call in the final group game, a 5-2 loss to the USA. And it hurt. Not just because of the score, but because of the consequences. It meant Czechia would enter the playoffs from third place. In the quarterfinals, they faced the home team, Sweden. Fueled by confidence, a packed arena, and the desire to win a medal on home ice, the Swedes were ready. The Czechs fought hard and never gave up, but this time Sweden was simply better. After a tough battle, Czechia fell 5-2, and the Golden Dream faded away. David Pastrnak, a man who never stopped believing even when life threw its hardest punches. His story is one of strength, perseverance, and unbreakable faith in a better tomorrow. And even though his journey to the hockey elite was never easy, today he stands among the NHL's brightest stars. He is living proof that even when life knocks you down, you can always rise again. Pastrnak knows that, and that's why he's a legend. Whether he wins the Stanley Cup or remains just a Bruins icon, his legacy will live on forever. If you like this video, I'd really appreciate it if you subscribed. Thanks, and see you next time. Peace.